Usually when we look at the map of a traditional music career, there is this expectation of a very linear geographical progression.
Right, like a literal road trip.
Exactly. You start by playing the local bars in your hometown, then maybe, you conquer your home state. And if you're really lucky, you get a regional tour.
You just slowly, methodically expand your borders.
Yeah, it's a very sequential climb. And I think we are deeply conditioned to, success stories that we can trace with a highlighter on a map. Tracking the artist step by step, city by city, until they finally hit the coasts.
Oh, totally. But then you step into the world of electronic dance music, and suddenly that traditional map is just completely broken.
It really is. And that's exactly what we're looking at today. We're looking at a career trajectory that honestly defies all traditional geography. It's less like a road trip and more like someone stood in the American Midwest, put on a blindfold, threw a dart, and somehow that dart landed dead center in a London nightclub.
Which is the absolute definition of a hyper-connected, borderless musical landscape. I mean, the old rules of physical proximity just do not apply when your primary instrument is a laptop and an internet connection.
Completely. Which brings us to our mission for you today. Welcome to our latest Deep Dives. I'm your host, and I'm joined as always by our resident music industry expert.
Hey everyone, so glad to be here.
We are tracing the fascinating trajectory of an electronic music breakthrough, and we're using the career of American DJ and producer Jay Faye, who was born Joshua Fagan, as our ultimate case study.
It's such a great example to dig into.
It really is. We're going to figure out how an artist builds a career from releasing tracks locally in St. Louis, Missouri, all the way to hitting the absolute top of the international charts. And spoiler alert, it involves the intricate art of the remix, the rework, and some incredibly strategic collaboration.
And what makes this specific deep dive so compelling for anyone listening right now is that we aren't just looking at what this artist achieved. We are really pulling back the curtain on the mechanics of how electronic music actually operates.
Right, the nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah, exactly. We're looking at how a beat gets built, broken down, and rebuilt to conquer the world.
So let's jump right into the foundation phase.
Yeah.
Every artist has one, that period where you're just trying to make a dent in the universe. For Jay Faye, we're looking at the year 2012.
Ah, huge year.
A massive year. And I want to set the scene for you because this wasn't just a slow trickle of music while he figured out his sound. This was an explosive entry characterized by sheer, relentless volume.
It was a total blitz. I mean, the output is staggering when you look at the dates on these source materials.
Okay, let's unpack this because on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2012, he drops his debut EP, Bonkers, via the Young Robots label.
Right.
Then, less than 2 months later, on April 3rd, he releases his second EP titled OPS, but this time on TNA Records.
Yeah.
That is 2 entirely different EPs on 2 different labels in under 8 weeks.
Which is wild. In the traditional pop or rock music industry, that schedule would give a PR team a collective heart attack.
Oh, absolutely.
You're supposed to milk one release for an entire year, touring it, promoting it, really stretching it out.
But wait, because that is just the original music. In that exact same calendar year, 2012, he releases 8 different official remixes for a wildly diverse roster of artists.
8. It's a lot.
It is. I want to read this list just to give you a sense of the spread here. He is remixing Bro Safari, Baraka Som Sistema, Bailey Smalls, Felix Cartal featuring Maja Iverson, Craze, Starslinger, Phono, and the Hood Internet.
It is a massive undertaking for a single producer.
It is, and I actually have a major problem with this strategy. Doesn't this violate the most basic rules of supply and demand, and frankly, just human burnout?
You would think so, yeah.
I was trying to picture this work rate. It's basically like a chef deciding to open 2 brand new original restaurants.
In the span of 2 months.
Yes. And while he's trying to run those 2 new spots, he is simultaneously doing guest chef takeover spots in 8 other kitchens all around the city. Usually, if you spread yourself that thin, the food is going to taste terrible, you burn out, and you release garbage. How did he not just dilute his brand with all of this?
Well, what's fascinating here is the underlying strategy of that specific work rate and how digital music production really differs from traditional bands.
Okay, how so?
When you're producing electronically, you aren't booking expensive studio time or coordinating 5 band members to show up on time. You're working in a software ecosystem where ideas can be sketched, tested, and exported rapidly.
Right, you just need your laptop.
Exactly. But beyond just the workflow, remixing other artists' tracks acts as a highly effective, deliberate form of musical networking.
I'm still stuck on the logistics, though. How does a kid in St. Louis even get the isolated audio tracks to remix an artist like Baraka Sam Sistema? Are they just cold emailing these global acts?
Sometimes it is a cold email, yeah. Sometimes it's labels connecting their artists behind the scenes, or sometimes they're entering official remix competitions. But the logistics of acquiring the audio that stems is only half the battle. Think about the cross-pollination happening here. Baraka Sam Sistema, for example, is a massive Portuguese group famous for Kuduro music.
Let's pause there for the listener for a second. What does Kuduro actually sound like?
Oh, Kuduro is this incredibly energetic, fast-paced electronic dance music that originated in Angola.
Okay.
It has this frantic, heavy, complex percussion, usually sitting around like 130 to 140 beats per minute. And it has a very specific, dedicated global fan base. So when Jay Faye remixes a Kuduro track, he is effectively introducing his signature Midwestern, bass-heavy production style to a pre-existing, dedicated fan base that might never have heard of him otherwise.
So he's basically hacking their audience.
It is a brilliant algorithmic hack, but executed manually. Before Spotify playlists and TikTok algorithms entirely dictated music discovery, the remix was the algorithm.
That makes so much sense.
Right. You take a song people already love, you inject your unique production DNA into it, and suddenly fans of Starslinger or Craze are checking the liner notes going, who produced this remix? I need to hear more from this Jay Faye guy. You're building your name across multiple different geographical and genre scenes simultaneously.
You can only hijack other people's audiences for so long, though, before your own sound starts demanding its own spotlight. And I think that brings us perfectly to 2013, which really feels like the incubator phase.
Yeah, that scattershot networking in 2012 really pays off. The industry actually starts paying attention to his solo work.
Right. The groundwork starts yielding tangible results. When you prove you can deliver high-quality remixes reliably, you level up to bigger platforms.
And we see that shift in the data clearly. In January 2013, Jay Faye gets a solo track called Dibby Dibby featured on a compilation album released by TNA Records called Moombahton Forever.
And simultaneously, his remix game elevates two much heavier hitters in the UK, right?
Oh yeah. He's remixing Friction, and he does a track for Scream featuring Screwfizzer, P Money, and Reeker Dan called Kingpin, plus a remix for Amplify Dot's Track Outlaw.
Which is huge. Scream and Friction are massive foundational pillars in UK bass and drum and bass music.
That is a very serious evolution from the 2012 roster, but that compilation album placement is just as crucial.
I want to focus on that compilation, actually, because I think a lot of us hear a compilation album and we just think of like a random mixtape you burn for a road trip.
Yeah, a bunch of random hits.
Right. But in this context, I was wondering, is a curated genre compilation like Moombahton Forever essentially acting like a tech incubator?
How do you mean?
Well, like a startup showcase. An artist puts their specific product, their single track on display in this highly curated environment alongside other promising startups, just hoping it catches the eye of a major investor.
That is a perfect analogy. Compilation albums in dance music aren't just collections of songs. They plant a flag in the sand. They are definitive cultural statements. So, by releasing a track on Moombahton Forever, Jay Faye wasn't dropping a single into the void. He was explicitly aligning his sound with a very specific, highly hyped movement.
And for anyone listening who isn't deep into 2010's electronic subgenres, what is Moombahton? Like, what are we physically hearing when we play that record?
Imagine taking a classic pounding house music beat, but you slow the tempo way down to about 108 beats per minute, and you infuse it with the rhythmic groove of reggaeton.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it has this thick, tropical swinging bounce to it. At the time, the entire industry was watching Moombahton to see if it would become the next global pop trend.
So all the major label A&R scouts, the big festival headliners, they're monitoring these compilations like a menu for what to invest in next.
Exactly. They use them for curatorial validation. If TNA Records says Jay Faye's track is the sound of Moombahton Forever, the rest of the industry takes note.
Which perfectly sets up the next domino to fall. Because that showcase track, Dibby Dibby, did exactly what an incubator product is supposed to do. It caught the ear of a major player, leading us straight into the 2014 breakthrough.
The alchemy of the rework.
Yes, the rework.
Yeah.
Because in February 2014, we get the release of the massive breakthrough single, Dibby Dibby Sound. But look at the credits on this. It is credited to DJ Fresh versus Jay Faye, featuring vocals from English singer Mrs. Dynamite.
That is a powerhouse main stage lineup right there.
It really is. But here's where it gets really interesting. I'm looking at the mechanics of how this song actually came to exist, and I am genuinely confused.
That's tripping you up.
Well, the sources note that this 2014 hit heavily samples Jay Faye's original 2013 instrumental track, Dibby Dibby. How do you sample yourself? Did he just rip his own audio file and slap DJ Fresh's name on it to get radio play?
Not at all. It is a much more involved structural process than simply repackaging an old song. The sources show that Jay actually reworked the song with DJ Fresh.
Right. And then Mrs. Dynamite's vocals were added later. To wrap my head around this, I pictured it like real estate. It's like Jay Faye built a really great, sturdy foundational house in 2013 with that Moombahton track.
The framing is excellent. The location is great.
Right. But then a wildly famous architect, DJ Fresh, comes along, tours the house, and says, I love this structure, but let's renovate it together so we can sell it for millions.
I love that.
So they knock down some walls, add a new roof, reinforce the base, and finally they bring in a celebrity interior decorator, Mrs. Dynamite, to finish the rooms and give it that final undeniable curb appeal.
This raises an important question for anyone listening who might be used to rock, pop, or country music. In those genres, a song is generally written, recorded, mixed, and then it is considered a finished, static object. You don't usually go back and change the drums a year later.
Right, it's done. It's pressed on a CD or vinyl, and that's it.
But in electronic music, a track is incredibly fluid. It is raw material.
It's more like clay than marble.
Exactly that. What we are seeing here is the collaborative alchemy unique to the dance music industry. You have an instrumental club track, Jay Faye's original Dibby Dibby. It works great for DJs in underground clubs.
But DJ Fresh hears something bigger.
Yeah, DJ Fresh, who is a veteran at manufacturing mainstream, radio-friendly chart hits in the UK, here's the potential for a larger audience. So they take the original stems, the isolated individual audio tracks of the kick drum, the synths, the bass line, and they rebuild the entire beat together. They make it punchier, wider, and more aggressive.
And then the vocals get layered on top of that new architecture.
Right. In electronic music, we call that the top line. They lay a vocal top line over this newly renovated beat. Mrs. Dynamite brings this incredible, energetic reggae dancehall vocal delivery that acts as the perfect glue. It completely transforms a cool underground instrumental into an undeniable pop dance anthem.
And undeniable is the perfect word because the geography of where this hit exploded is absolutely fascinating.
It really is.
We have a kid from St. Louis, Missouri, creating a track that gets renovated by a UK drum and bass legend with vocals from a British MC. So what does this all mean when we look at the actual charts?
It means we get a front row seat to how hyper-regional the spread of dance music really is. Global hits don't actually hit everywhere globally at the same time.
The numbers are wild. If you are tracking this in 2014, Dibby Dibby Sound reaches #2 on the UK dance chart. It hits #3 on the main UK singles chart, and it hits #3 on the Scottish charts. Total, undeniable domination in the United Kingdom.
Which makes perfect sense given the collaborators involved and the specific sonic profile of the track.
But then you look across the English Channel to mainland Europe, specifically Belgium, and the data gets so incredibly specific and weird.
Oh, Belgium chart data is always a trip.
In the Flanders region of Belgium, the track hits #40 on their main chart. But in the Wallonia region of Belgium, it completely misses the main Ultra Top 50 chart. Instead, it hits #40 on the Ultra Tip chart.
Ah, the infamous Ultra Tip.
I had to look this up because it sounds made up. The Ultra Tip is literally a chart specifically designed for the top 50 songs that are bubbling under the main chart. It's the almost made it chart.
It's a very specific metric.
I am just marveling at the weirdness of global music metrics here. It's like a movie becoming a massive record-breaking blockbuster in New York City, but only playing at one single indie theater in Los Angeles. How does a track utterly dominate Scotland, but hover on a highly specific, bubbling under chart in one half of Belgium?
Well, it is a brilliant illustration of how cultural infrastructure dictates chart success. You have to look at the history of these specific regions. The UK has a massive, decades-long sound system culture.
Right.
They have historically embraced heavy bass, Jamaican sound clash influences, and high-tempo electronic beats. It is baked into their radio DNA.
So when a track drops featuring Mrs. Dynamite spitting dancehall-style vocals over a heavy rebuilt Moombahton beat, it feels like a natural evolution for a listener in London or Glasgow.
It is instantly recognizable to their musical palette. But mainland Europe is different. A country like Belgium is divided into distinct cultural and linguistic spheres, Dutch-speaking Flanders and French-speaking Wallonia.
Okay, that makes sense.
Pop radio in Wallonia might be leaning towards entirely different tempos, perhaps slower, more melodic styles of house music or French pop at that exact moment in 2014.
So the environment just wasn't primed for a frantic UK bass track.
Exactly. The club DJs in Wallonia were likely playing it, which is why it hits the ultra tip, it's bubbling under, because there is club heat. But it didn't cross over to their mainstream pop radio in the frictionless way it did in the UK. It shatters the illusion that a global hit is a monolithic event. Music moves through different cultures at vastly different speeds.
So after you achieve that mainstream chart success, right, you've shared a marquee with DJ Fresh, you have certified hit with Mrs. Dynamite, you are sitting at the top of the UK charts looking down. What does the producer do next? Do they just move to Los Angeles and chase the next pop star?
Some certainly try to do that, yeah. But the producers who actually maintain longevity in this industry usually return to their core identity.
Which is exactly what we see in the final part of our data today. In 2015, the year after the massive pop success, Jay Faye releases a non-album single called Trunk. And it is a collaboration with an artist named Signal.Noise.
A very different vibe.
I have to point out the contrast here for you.
Yeah.
After all the glitter and the massive chart placements, putting out a standalone track with Signal.Noise feels like a very deliberate, purposeful step backward. It feels like returning to the underground, collaborative trenches of the dance world. Why give up the pop spotlight?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is the true life cycle of a working DJ and producer.
Yeah.
It's not a straight line up to the pop charts followed by a comfortable retirement.
You don't just win the game and stop playing.
Never. The massive chart hit the dibby-dibby sound that is a spectacular milestone. It raises your international profile, it brings in significant publishing revenue, and it introduces your name to millions of casual listeners.
Yeah.
But the career itself, the day-to-day reality and emotional survival of being an electronic artist, is sustained by a continuous loop of creating, collaborating with your peers, and releasing independent tracks.
It's like going back to the gym the morning after you win the championship. You still have to do the reps.
And you critically need to do the reps because that peer-to-peer collaboration is where the new sounds are actually forged. A track like Trunk with Signal.Noise is how an artist stays grounded in the scene that birthed them.
It keeps them relevant.
Keeps their ear to the ground. If you only chase the pop charts, you lose the foundational respect of the clubs. And in dance music, the club is your actual home. Without the club, you have no testing ground for your ideas.
That brings everything full circle so beautifully. When we trace this journey, we start with Joshua Fagan in a St. Louis bedroom. Then we move to that absolutely relentless 2012 grind of putting out 2 entirely different EPs and hacking the algorithms by doing 8 remixes in a single calendar year.
The Blitz that built the network.
The Blitz, which led directly to the strategic incubation of his solo track, Dibby Dibby, on a curated compilation which then triggered that incredible collaborative explosion with DJ Fresh and Mrs. Dynamite, taking a Midwestern kid to the absolute peak of the UK and Scottish charts. It's a masterclass in how modern music actually travels, not by touring in a van, but by sending audio files across oceans.
And it shows how a hit is actually built, piece by piece, stem by stem, collaborator by collaborator.
Which leaves us with a final thought I want you to chew on today. The next time you are listening to a massive hit song, especially an electronic dance track, ask yourself, how many iterations, how many self-samples, and how many different producers' hands did that exact track pass through before it finally reached your ears?
It's rarely just one person.
Are we ever really listening to just one finished song? Or are we just tuning into the final, polished stage of a years-long musical conversation? Think about that map we started with and how many detours that dart took before it finally hit the bullseye.